quickly on such a magnificent evening. I know we got started a little bit later, but you know what time it is. It's Truth Seekers Live. It's an honor to have you as part of the Truth Seeker family. I want to give a huge shout out to all the members that support the Truth Seeker channel, this broadcast, this consistency that we've been able to do has been because of our members and because of our channel support that we get from the donations and the sponsors. So I appreciate that. If you're able to, if you enjoy these broadcasts, if you enjoy the frequency, then continue to donate. And I appreciate y'all for supporting. You have no idea how much it means to me. Having said that, we got a lot to talk about today. We're talking about the shooter situation that happened in Buffalo. This is a pretty tense situation, and it covers so many different aspects and areas, fields that we don't really talk about on this channel as much, but also fields that we cover quite frequently as well. So for everybody that might be new watching this on the replay, I know it is a bit later at night. We might not have the same amount of people that we typically do. For anybody watching this on the replay, understand some of the terms when I say them are in reference to things that we might talk about a little bit more on this channel. Having said that, let's go ahead and go forward with our usual broadcast style, right? Which is actually covering the most important. Well, I can't say that. That's very disrespectful for me to say that right now, but we're going to go ahead and talk about the national holidays, the national day of the day today. Today, Tuesday, May 17th, while we have a few hours left here in the Central Coast, that is, in Texas, it's National Walnut Day. It's also National Cherry Cobbler Day. Look at this. It's National Break Your Diet Day, it looks like. National Graduation Tassel Day. It's actually not National Break Your Diet Day, but that's what they're suggesting, it seems. National Idaho Day. Wow, National Idaho is celebrated every year on May 17th. It celebrates the joyful day in 1863 when Idaho was recognized as the 43rd state of the Union. Well, I'll tell you what a beautiful day. Pack Rack Day. That has to do with some style. I think that's in reference to historical times, days past, maybe our grandparents or so. Elle Winter's birthday. No idea who she is. Happy birthday to her. And Luann Delep's birthday as well. Happy birthday to them, and we want to just wish everybody else whose birthday might be today on May 17th a very, 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 very happy birthday. Let's go ahead and move on with a news story. This news story is a bit of a trigger, but before we get to that news story of the trigger, I don't know if y'all voted. I don't know if you've heard about this at all, ladies and gentlemen, but it's actually, where's my law and order? 2022 midterm elections, ladies and gentlemen. Get out there and vote. Is it too late to vote for midterms elections? Can somebody tell me what's going on? I honestly have no idea, and I really do apologize. But I'm definitely going to get more into the politics seriously with my own life. But I just want to let you know that if you didn't know, it's midterms right now. So, having said that, let's go ahead and move on to a pretty horrific case right here. This case is going to be a little triggering, so if you're a trigger-sensitive type of person, then I want you to go ahead and skip these next couple of minutes. It has to do with the loss of life of a child. But it's and I'll just go ahead and just read you the case here. It's a 9-year-old Brooklyn girl who died from abuse from her mother, and she died from hours of bleeding from abuse. Cato, 48, is charged with murder, manslaughter, and assault and other crimes in her youngest daughter's death over a missing tablet Sunday morning. Little Shalom was hiding from her infuriated mother, who spent 2 hours walloping her and her 13-year-old sister with an extension cord and bashing them into a broom inside their Lincoln Place apartment, prosecutors said. But the spot Shalom sought as a safe haven from her maniacal mother turned out to be the opposite. The defendant lifted the bed, attempting to pull the child from underneath Senegal. The bed dropped on Shalom. The bed fell on her head, and she died quickly thereafter. So a horrific case there. It just goes to show that not everybody should be parents, and that sometimes it would suggest that maybe there are instances where it really truly is better to definitely get a little bit more involved in certain family situations, but we don't know the other side of the family situation. Let's go ahead and move on to the Buffalo shooting. This is what's been said so far about the Buffalo shooting. We're going to go ahead and take a look at some pretty insane and outrageous documents. We do have the entire 180-page document or manifesto, per se, that he wrote, and I want to go ahead and just give you a few seconds here, ladies and gentlemen. At a certain point during this podcast, we're actually going to take a second and get into some pretty deep, not conspiracy type of thing, but it's certain things that the internet and people are saying, and I want to bring those up in the in the light of just pure honest transparency going forward on this case. This has to do with so much. We're talking about racial division in this particular instance. We're talking about divesting in this particular instance, where we have this promotion of a certain group of men who, I guess in this particular moment in time, guys who are of a certain race want me to talk about this, or at least want certain measures of discussion to be had on this type of situation, because it could be seen that maybe there's issues that we aren't covering as much in our conversations as far as dating and things of that nature goes. But whatever it might be, we're all going to settle it today. And I think that after I get done speaking about everything that I've thought about for the past 2 days on this situation, that maybe we'll be able to come to an agreement, or maybe a disagreement of agreement. As authorities have investigated here, this goes on to say, the deadly mass shooting in Buffalo, New York suggests the suspect was indoctrinated by racist propaganda. The case is renewing discussion on a series of crises in the United States, including white supremacy, online extremism. Pay attention to those words, ladies and gentlemen. If somebody just donated to the Cash App, I really do appreciate that donation to the Cash App. If somebody did donate to the Cash App, I can't tell if you did or not. I don't think it was, but if you did, thank you. Online extremism, ladies and gentlemen. Key word right there, trigger word. Keep that in mind as we go forward in this next couple of weeks in our discussions here. And structural racism. So right now, the name of this article is Ian Bremmer says the United States must address extremism and polarization online. Get a load of that article, huh? What do you think about that? What do you think about that? I tell you what. Author and political scientist Ian Bremmer, who wrote a book on the world's threats, said the attack shows how the country has neglected what he calls the most dangerous crisis right now, the inability to understand and construct and contain disruptive technologies such as artificial intelligence, cyber attacks, online disinformation, drones, and even quantum computing. So, got a little bit of a thing going down towards a free speech thing, but let's move on in this entire thing. Was this possibly a repercussion of maybe the Frank James situation? Well, I have some pretty crazy evidence for you that suggests that it might actually be, ladies and gentlemen. What you're seeing right now on your screen is the New York City subway situation shooting. Now, this happened in Brooklyn, okay? Brooklyn is a 7-hour drive. I looked on Google Maps from Buffalo, New York. They're nowhere even interconnected or close to each other, but I got to thinking, and I was thinking in my head, I said, well, how were there two mass shootings in New York, a state where there's severe gun control, and I'm not even trying to get political here, but severe gun control, and almost the same style of shooting with assault rifles, this, and that. Well, it wasn't assault rifles here, but Frank James had a Glock, and nobody died in the Frank James shooting. But I just thought it was really peculiar how it was two shootings in New York so quickly, so tied together. It was just a bit odd for me. So I started looking up these things, and I didn't even know that the media was already talking about the connections between all these situations. I didn't even know that people were already making the connections between this, and that. But let me show you a few articles. This is crazy. This is something that was actually connected to the shooter that was tied to the Buffalo shooting. Failed rapper Mathboy Fly. Some of y'all will remember him from the Christmas Parade Massacre. You'll see him on obviously the thumbnail of the video here. A failed rapper named Mathboy Fly is currently in police custody. This is an older article, right? But he's important because he was recently brought up, and that's the vehicle that he actually used to kill 6 people, and they were all white people, might I have you, right? 6 people. I believe they were children all the way to grandmothers, right? All the way to grandmothers. He has a lengthy criminal history, I believe. He used his vehicle to run through a barricade, the article says. He hit a dozen people, including women and children. 5 persons were confirmed dead and almost 50 more injured. Okay, so we have that article there. Now, keep that in mind. The reason I brought that up to you because, well, check this out. The Buffalo shooter wrote the names of the victims that were hit by the car on the end or on the rifle itself. If you actually just take a little zoom in picture, look there, you can see that the rifle has names on it. It's a bit blurry in this photo right here, but if we keep scrolling down, I hate these advertisements, dude. These advertisements are like going to get my channel banned. I don't even want to click it. Hold on a second. This is crazy, dude. This is, I was like, this is Twitter. What's going on? This is not Twitter. All right. I can't even exit the advertisement. It says stops. It gives me an ad. Okay, we'll try not to show that ad again. Oh, thanks. All right. Well, we can't obviously get rid of the ads, so it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, I'm trying to make money off of ads too. Why am I even complaining? Hey, all right. So this is the gun once again that was used to kill 10. There are the names that you see on this ad of the victims, and then you see a hashtag here. It says hashtag BLM mugged. I think it might say, or maybe it's mogged. I don't know. Then it also says something about status. Call it broken. So really cryptic type talk here. John Ernest, Philip, I can't read the rest of the names, Anders Brevich. Once again, just in the description to this is a gunman who killed 10 today at the supermarket in Buffalo, New York, has been identified as Peyton Gendron, 18, who lives in New York. Pictures of his AR-15 show numerous writings, which show the names of the famous mass shooters who have committed attacks. Oh, okay. So these are the names of famous mass shooters who have committed attacks. Jesus, read, Jonathan. Hello. Anyways, so those are the names of mass shooters. So he was inspired obviously by some type of online rhetoric, but let's go ahead and go back to why we're talking about some of the different concepts today. Now, the news article goes on to say that he left a 180-page manifesto online. We're going to read a little bit of that in a little bit. That goes to that allegedly focuses on the Great Replacement theory. The theory reportedly contends that leaving the southern border of the United States wide open to illegal immigration is an attempt to change racial demographics to pad the Democratic voting base and keep progressive power indefinitely. All right, so that's a lot of just legal kind of mumbo jumbo, pretty much to say that he believes in securing the country down and closing all the borders because he doesn't want any other race of people coming in, or at least coming in what he claims to be, or what a lot of people claim to be illegally. I'm not saying anything here, neither here nor there. That's not what I'm trying to prove. I'm just trying to bring a certain point of light, very interesting topics of conversation at hand. So we're going to get into the manifesto, and we even have some crazy pictures. So go ahead and prepare yourself. Let's look at a couple of pictures for the manifesto. What you're getting ready to see right now is things that were taken from a website called 4chan. A lot of y'all don't know what 4chan is. I didn't know what 4chan was for the longest time. 4chan is a website that pretty much has to do with things of the nature of, I don't know, anything that is kind of dark element of culture and society. 4chan's a very odd place, but these are posts that you're actually seeing from the shooter himself, and he used to use this 4chan website to promote these posts and things of that nature. And the guys have gone through the manifesto and they found the different posts that he used to use. So I'm sure these posts will actually be seen or looked at by the FBI. Hell, I'm sure the FBI probably watches my channel, to be completely honest with you. But I'm sure that, especially after the Frank James video, this one right here. But I'm sure that, anyway, so the description of this post right here says, took apart all mags and put ammo in the boxes. Some mags are a bit dusty. I might try and clean them. Floor plate and magazine lips seem good to me. Then he has a YouTube video linking to the VSO gun channel. That's not a good look for the VSO gun channel, I can tell you that much. I'll use this video as an example of how to clean magazines. Now, he went through this entire manifesto and different types of pictures. Let's take a look at another one. Let's take a look at another one right here. These are just really interesting pictures that was posted on the 22nd of February, right? The 22nd of February right there. I almost exited out my entire browser. This is actually a drawing. So this is the next picture here. It's a very crude drawing, and it might seem kiddish, but this is the drawing of the entire supermarket. But check the words out. And the word says, I first shoot the security guard and KILL him by shooting through the front doors of the glass. His most common areas are located in orange. I forgot to see, ladies and gentlemen, if I turned closed captions on for this live stream. I forgot to see if I did. I hope I did. If I didn't, then hold on one second, y'all. I think I have it. I think I have closed captions on, so I hope I did. But if not, we'll definitely have to get it next time. Anyways, we'll go back to this for a second. Can't get distracted. He should be just at the entrance of the store. If not at the cash registers, they might still have the Glocks attached to them, or they might have dropped it. He goes on to say a lot of stuff. He goes on to even say, I shoot all black people twice in the chest if possible. I turn left to the cash registers and open fire on an expected crowd of people at cash registers. According to the user reviews, the store is notorious for being slow. Some will run alongside the aisles. I will make sure I never stop firing. I make it on the other side of the aisles and continue firing on all blacks. I go into the customers only area to check for runners and hiders and make it, this is pretty serious. I'm not going to lie. This is definitely something where there's not much strategy. I mean, not like I said in the comment, 99.9% of people wouldn't be ready for this. The only way to be ready for something like this is if you carry an AK-47 or AR pistol in your backpack, and if you carry a backpack around. But most people don't do that. If you do, it's probably in your car. You're not going to carry it into the supermarket, especially not in New York. That's such an unfathomable situation. But we'll continue on for a second. It's just, I'm not going to even read the rest of it. It just pretty much goes on in severe detail on that particular picture. Now, there are a couple more really interesting pictures, so let me show you these for 1 second, okay? A couple more really interesting pictures. Obviously, there's a severe disdain of black people. Now, he said this, and I want to go ahead, and this is where we talk about certain things and issues that we typically talk about on this channel, right? He says that, let it be clear, I hate N-words and race traitors. I do not hate black people or people of other races. right? So that's what he said on December 23rd, 2021. Let me be clear, I hate N-words and race traitors. I do not hate black people or people of other races. Right? Now, these are once again posts that the shooter has made on this website 4chan, all right? These are posts that the shooter has made on the website 4chan. We're going to have a couple questions in the poll in 1 second for y'all, what y'all think about these. We're going to go one more time with a couple more pictures, and I know that this might be a little interesting to look at. This is something that he made, and he was prospecting actually a different location. Check this out. It says, dang, that is looking good. Family Dollar next door, Stanley something, Elementary, Wiley something. I was stuck on Rochester for too long. It's a new plan, and this new plan, it says 1428 Buffalo has a 10% higher black population. That is the place I will go. Tops Friendly Market, something. And so that's where he was prospecting, and it's just some evidence of him actually taking in like actual statistical violent crime and property crime numerical analyzation into his reasoning for perspective, shooting locations. He says here, the more black an area gets, the worse these statistics get. Canisius College, the college is probably where the 18% of whites live, unironically, type of stuff. So he was obviously definitely somebody that really almost could mirror some of the same, rhetoric and talking points that, definitely certain groups online have, right? Which is that, the black guys, and listen, the facts are the facts of the matter. We obviously do that. And I've talked about that plenty, right? And that is that we, black men, make up a large amount disproportionately of the crimes, a large amount. That's a problem. And so, hey, that's a fact right there. I completely understand that, right? But at this point, these weren't necessarily the people that he went to go after. And that's what I have a really big problem with. Obviously, he was killing old ladies. So that's crazy. I've said this before, and I'll say it a million times. It's, if you have a problem with somebody, and I don't know why, that this is the same thing online and offline, just have a problem with that person. Don't go after that people's family or anything like that. That just doesn't make any sense to me. So, horrible situation here. But let's continue. We have a few more pictures, and then we'll continue to talk about a few things, right? Now, I know that there's a lot of black guys that want the divestors. A lot of black guys want the divesting women, the women who date and who preach about dating out solely and exclusively. They want them to speak about this situation. A lot of guys are saying, and particularly manosphere guys, right? Black men are saying, hey, listen, y'all don't want to talk about the shooter situation because he's a white guy who ended up shooting the entire store, blah, 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 blah. He ended up doing this, blah, 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 blah. So why aren't y'all talking about the shooting situation with the white guy, right? Why are y'all not talking about the shooting situation with the white guy? Why not? Right? Why not? You talked about Frankie, but you don't want to talk about the white dude. Why is that? So a lot of brothers feel some type of way right now. They feel some type of way, which is an interesting conversation, and I have a few things to say about that. We'll open up the Zoom in a little bit, and so I'm sure people can kind of bring up their ideas and how they feel about that as well, right? Once again, the video you're seeing now is the New York subway situation. But one simple rebut that we'd have, obviously, is that a week prior to then, 2 weeks prior to then, there was a mass shooting, and it was done by, right, a black man. So we're not sure if this was a response, but it looks like, based off of the evidence that we saw beforehand, that this was a response to that shooting, right? And so it's a bit of a gaslighting conversation. In that case, if we're just using it in the context of why are we not going to actually mention, or why don't you mention the white man who ended up shooting, and the way that you mentioned the black man, Frank James, it's a bit of a gaslighting question. But once again, if we just go ahead and use your analyzation of the thought process of it, well, the reason in this case we already saw was directly related to what the guy said, basically, or what he wrote down in his rifle, which was some victims of the Waukegan or the Waukesha, whatever it might be. It was a racially charged incident that stemmed from black men. So I'm not saying this is right or wrong. Obviously, this is a horrible situation. I'm just trying to prove a point as far as maybe talking about that could be in some aspects not as good or lend itself as well over to the manosphere or to black guys who feel like they're are certain content creators or maybe certain people who aren't talking about the aspect of white violence or white male violence, right? Now, we know about the shootings and we know about mass shootings and things of that nature, but let me break down mass shootings really quickly to you. A mass shooting law terminology here is anything that's over, I believe, 3 or 4 deaths, right? I believe a mass shooting is anything past 3 or 4 deaths. 3 or 4 deaths is a mass shooting. Right. So obviously, yes, we don't want anybody dying, period. But the word and the terminology for it can be really tricky. Right. But if we were to actually take situations where 3 or 4 people died and we apply that to all races, but specifically the black race or black males in certain situations, we'd have a ton of quote unquote mass shootings. Right? Because it's a very gray word type of terminology type of word. But once the media is able to get a certain hold of it and spin it around a certain way, it could cause big problems. And so I want to ask a question to the chat right now. And this is something that we're getting ready to talk about as far as the tinfoil hat things go. So get ready to put your tinfoil hats on. And here's a question that I have for you, okay? Hey, I want to thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video. We need to get some likes up right now. I know it's late. We want to get the likes up, and we want to make sure that we get as many people in the building as we can right now because we definitely need it. Hey, here's the question. Do you think that they, quote unquote, are trying to start a race war right now? Do you think that they, air quotes, are trying to start a race war right now? And then we have some more questions for you in a second. I'm going to kind of finish off this divester talk, and then I'll look at some of your comments for a second. I appreciate you joining. 40 people in the building. I appreciate all 40 people in the building. And so they say, well, you know what, guys, it's so once again, if we take in the actual meaning of mass shooting, the numbers would be pretty horrifically screwed as well in the other way. Now, we have to take into effect proximity effect, right? I get that white people do more crime than white people and black people do more crime than black people. So these one-off situations aren't necessarily either going to prove the point that effectively that white men are the worst men for black women to date. It doesn't do that either necessarily. Now, is this to say that there obviously aren't white guys out there that are racist? Yeah, this pretty much proves it. Now, once again, though, we're going to get this question asked, and maybe this doesn't prove it. Maybe you have some questions. Maybe you think that something needs to be brought to our attention. Your Honor, objection. I don't know. This is a weird situation. But let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the manifesto right now, okay? Because the way that this guy wrote this entire thing was very interesting. I've never seen something so eloquently written. So, this was an 18-year-old kid, apparently, an 18-year-old something. I don't know what's going on at this point. This is the manifesto. As you see at the top, 180 pages. And if you want to download this entire thing, I'm not sure if we'll be able to do that, but this has on the first page the list of sovereign states' dependencies on total fertility rates. The only white country that reaches these levels is Argentina. I don't know what level that is, but if the next page goes on to say this is white genocide. In 2050, despite the ongoing effect of sub-replacement fertility, the population figures show that the population does not decrease in line with the sub-replacement fertility levels, but actually maintains. Give me a bomb for reading. Shout out to Miss, who taught me how to read really well. I don't know. Shout out to her. Actually maintains and in many white nations rapidly increases, although immigration, this is ethnic replacement, this is cultural replacement, this is racial replacement. So you see these really crazy types of, obviously really maddening monikers and trains of belief. That's him, I believe, with an AK-47 on the left-hand side. It looks like it's a Century Arms AK-47, and he's got some kind of combat front rail, but he doesn't have a gas block protector, so his bottom hand's going to get pretty freaking hot right there. And that's this. Oh, that's a better picture of it right there. He's got a side or Picatinny rail. Looks like he's got a muzzle. I don't even know what that is. I think it's a flash hider. Anyways, pretty powerful stuff right there. His personality type was an architect. All right, his personality type was an architect. He says that I'm not a war fighter, nor have I been in any enrolled in any military or tactical training. So excuse any mistakes I make during my attack. I was never diagnosed with a mental disability or disorder, and I believe to be perfectly sane. Recently, I took an MBTI test as seen below. So I guess the MBTI is a personality test of some sort. He has some questions. Why did you decide to carry out the attack? His answer was to show the replacers that as long as the white man lives, our land will never be theirs and they will never be safe from us. To directly reduce immigration rates to European lands by intimidating and physically removing the replacers themselves. To incite violence. Okay, he's got a lot of stuff. What do you want is the next question. We must ensure the existence of our people and future for white children. Who do you represent? Millions of European and other ethno-nationalist people that wish to live in peace amongst their own people, living in their own lands, practicing their own traditions, and deciding the future of their kind. Are you a part of any political group or movement? I am not a direct member of any organization or group, though I support many. Question: do the groups you support or are aligned with order or promote your attack? Answer: no, I am the sole perpetrator of this attack. I had many influences from others, but it was only me. Question: where do you get your current beliefs? Mostly from the internet. Answer: there was little to no influence on my personal beliefs by the people I met in person. Wow. Look at that. Where did you get your current personal beliefs? Mostly from the internet, he says. There was little to no influence on my personal beliefs by people I met in person. I read multiple times by multiple sources, information from all ideologies, and decided that my current one is the most correct. Do y'all think that there's something going on? Do y'all think that there's something going on? Is there a side? Let's look at y'all's answers. It's 50-50. It's 50-50. Do you think that there's something going on? Is there a psyops going on right now? Do y'all know what a psyops is? Psyops, a psychological operation. After 19 votes, do you think they are trying to start a race war? 53% of people said yes. 47% said no. We have another vote that just came in, which turns the tables to 55%, 45%. We're almost split, ladies and gentlemen. Sugar Bum said, THT, I come in peace. Don't time me out. Let's read some comments. Oh, you retracted it in time, Sugar Bum. You're just in time. Don't worry. You're all on time today. Let's read some comments, see what y'all say. Did the Buffalo shooter follow Kevin? No, I don't know if he followed Kevin. I don't think that he did follow any Manosphere type of people. But you want to know something that I thought was interesting? You do want to know something that I thought was interesting, Sally Hemings? Let me go ahead and show you something that I think is really, really, really interesting. Some information that I found on this guy was on a website that is specifically related to the Manosphere. Like it is straight up Manosphere. It's a Manosphere website. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, gosh, I don't know if I can find it. I have so many links that I had, man. Let me see. Give me a second. I don't know if I kept it. Let me see if this is it. It was fascinating. I was like, that's a weird website to have that kind of information on there. Let me see. I know I got it. I got like 20 links. Just give me like another 20 seconds. Hey, make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that we're taking this time right now to like the video. And I want to thank our channel members. I want to thank our channel sponsors for being able to have us on this live stream right now. If you're enjoying this, then I want to thank the sponsors. And I want you to thank the sponsors as well, because they are responsible for us being able to do this. So I appreciate them. All right, let's try one more thing. I think I got the website here. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. Check it out. It's called Mel Magazine, right? Mel Magazine. I don't know what it means. M-E-L. But the name of this, which was written a day ago, is from something called Dispatches from the Manosphere. This article was written a day ago, and it's about the kid, right? The lone gunman. When the lone gunman is a group project, the alleged Buffalo shooter had plenty of encouragement from his favorite online message boards. The 18-year-old, arrested after a deadly mass shooting in Buffalo, New York this weekend, largely plagiarized his white supremacist manifesto from the man who murdered dozens at two mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand in 2019. This text should refute any claim that his alleged crimes are unique. They belong to a global pattern of racist, violent hatred, I guess people or whatever it ends. Yet the online communities that produce, discuss, and often celebrate this sort of material persist in a show of innocence whenever it costs lives. Their slurs are ironic. Their stated interest of murdering specific groups of people and wiping out entire cultures is just a kind of LARP or roleplay. So anyways, they would just go on to talk about it. They have a lot of different, things that happen to them in Discord servers. Just to give you an idea, the shooter, this guy you're seeing right now, said that he had bad experiences with black people at school, but noted that they did not make him feel racist, quote, against them. Quote, he says, I only turned really racist when 4chan started giving me facts that were intellectually and emotionally inferior, he wrote. I kid you not. These are the words that an 18-year-old kid is supposedly writing. It's a bit interesting to me. I'm not saying he didn't write it. Obviously, anybody that goes in and kills people, old ladies, no matter what their color is, but specifically only black ladies, only anybody that does that is just, they're out of there. But the way that they're writing so purposely with trying to get the identity of this online threat, and don't get me wrong, I'm the first person to try and get promotion of online threat and how dangerous these online communities are. I just think it's so fascinating. I didn't think it was going to be coming forth so quickly, but I'm just not sure, ladies and gentlemen. This is very interesting. I'm not saying that the situation didn't happen. The shooting 100% happened. We know that. It was on live stream. The footage is out there. We're not showing any of that footage. You don't have to worry about that. Once again, this is the New York situation. We're not going to show any of that footage. But it's as real, 100% real. But there are also people, and I'm getting ready to show you some more articles that support these types of claims that are asking questions of whether or not this is to push some sort of agenda or whatever it might be. That's why I asked the question first and foremost. So we're going to go ahead and go forward. We have another question to ask, okay? Another question to ask. Now, before we ask this next question, we're going to take a look at two different sides of the fence. We're going to take a look at the conservative side of the fence in reporting a response to this, and we're going to take a look at the Democratic or the Republic, the liberal side, okay? So we got Fox News clip by Tucker Carlson, right? A lot of y'all know who Tucker Carlson is. Tucker Carlson. I need to drink some water right here. After we listen to Tucker Carlson's response, we're going to go ahead and listen to another gentleman's response who's a liberal. Very two different sides of the fence. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, these are the only two mainstream media, conglomerates that really run the mainstream political news source. You either have to be a far left or a far right at this point. There is no in the middle.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson. Tonight there was a horrifying, we're sad to tell you, a horrifying amount of violence in the United States over the weekend, as increasingly there is. Over just 2 days, at least 104 Americans were shot to death in major American cities. That's a lot. How many? Well, for perspective, on the single deadliest day of the Iraq War, that would be January of 2005, a total of 37 Americans died. So what's happening in our cities right now looks a lot like a war, even if we rarely acknowledge it. Dallas, Milwaukee, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, many other metro areas recorded murders over the weekend. That's typical now. In St. Louis, 13 people were shot, 5 of them fatally. In Chicago, 33 were gunned down. 5 of those died. In Laguna Woods, California, a Chinese immigrant from Las Vegas walked into a Presbyterian church and shot 6 elderly Taiwanese parishioners. Police say he was motivated by some kind of political and ethnic hatred. And of course, most famously of all, on Saturday afternoon, a teenager in a mock military uniform walked into a...
Now, notice the shade, all right? Most famously of all. Let's go ahead and rewind this thing, and we're just going to listen while... We're just going to listen to you. We're going to listen to me while we watch Tucker talk. I want to go ahead and say that the first thing that he started off was saying the violence in America, right? And I thought that was an interesting way to kind of encapsulate the entire message before you even decided to click off if you didn't want to hear the 18-minute or 15-minute monologue, right? He's not highlighting the Buffalo shooting at first. He wants you to know that there's a point in saying, listen, the violence is all across the country. Why are we only specifically focusing on Buffalo right now? We've seen the violence happen right here, and we just got done seeing the violence happen right here. So why exactly are we focusing on the violence so much that's right here, huh?
Because the coverage hasn't been about them. Nor, in fact, has it really been about the gunman. He was an 18-year-old called Peyton Gendron. Gendron was mentally ill. Everyone around him knew that, including his teachers and the local police. Less than a year ago, Gendron was committed to a mental hospital after threatening to murder his classmates at a school graduation ceremony. So on Saturday, after he made good on his long-standing threat to open fire into a crowd, Gendron left an 180-page letter that he said would explain his motives. You've probably heard this document described as a racist manifesto. But that's not quite right. It's definitely racist, bitterly so. Gendron reduces people to their skin color. That's the essence of racism, and it's immoral. But what he wrote does not add up to a manifesto. It is not a blueprint for a new extremist political movement, much less the potential inspiration for a racist revolution. Anyone who claims that it is lying or hasn't read it. Instead, Gendron's letter is a rambling pastiche of slogans and internet memes, some of which flatly contradict one another.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you're seeing right now is the mediaization of what we've been talking about on this channel for the past couple of months now, which is that they're getting ready to start pushing how dangerous online freedom of speech is, right? This is being sped up infuriatingly, if not infuriatingly, that's the wrong word. This is being sped up furiously, way quicker than I thought it was. But just listen to everything that they're saying right now. We've been saying this, right? You're not going to be able to keep saying a whole bunch of crazy stuff online because things are going to continue to happen. That's why I ask you that's why I asked you, or that's why, I pointed out, do you think, and once again, I'm going to say a few things to kind of back up what I'm saying. But before we go ahead and jump back over, I just wanted to get to that point. Let's do one thing. No, let's go ahead and listen to MSN right now because we want to keep Tucker fresh in our minds. So let's go ahead and go to MSN and hear what MSN had to say. A very different take, right? Very different take, but let's check this out. This is
if you do not consume a lot of conservative media, it can be easy to underestimate just how much it is pumping a particular dark conspiracy into viewers' minds, hour after hour, day in, day out. One of the most prominent conservative hosts with one of the largest platforms is pushing the racist idea that white people are under threat of extinction. And of course, it is all a Democratic plot.
The Democratic Party is trying to replace the current electorate, the voters now casting ballots, with new people, more obedient voters from the third world. In political terms, this policy is called the Great Replacement, the replacement of legacy Americans with more obedient people from faraway countries. It is the secret to the entire immigration debate. Demographic change is the key to the Democratic Party's political.
So right now, what they're pretty much doing, is just using footage that Tucker has said in the past, and obviously Tucker Carlson is a Republican, so he's going to be on the right side, right leaning. But right now, what the agenda of the Democrats is to try to do is to promote that the right side is racist for the most part, right? That the right side, that he got these ideologies from Tucker Carlson, and that's the name of the video. Literally the name of the video is Buffalo Gunman, inspired by same racist ideology pushed by right-wing media. That's literally the name. Yo, the media don't give a dang right now. The media is like pretty much run by millennials at this point, as far as like the YouTube channels and stuff like that go. So they're just like throwing blows at each other. It's like beef all over the place. Even the freaking news stations are beefing right now. YouTube is beef, man. So let's continue.
Political ambitions. They're trying to change the population of the United States. And they hate it when you say that because it's true.
That a country's being stolen from American citizens as we watch.
In other words, you're being replaced and there's nothing you can do about it. So shut up.
Fox News host Tucker Carlson has been talking about this, again, so-called Great Replacement theory for a long time.
Now, that is what the manifesto did end up saying, ladies and gentlemen. That is what the manifesto of the gentleman said. It literally said that right in the manifesto. Do we need to not put we're going to pull this up. I'll pull it back up right now for you. It's right here. This is cultural replacement. This is racial replacement. This is white genocide. This is the manifesto. So I believe that Tucker is being a little bit disingenuous. I know that some of the people who are severe fans of or severe alt-right might not like that, but that is, I believe, a connection that was successfully made by MSNBC in this particular instance.
It is the same, at its root, extreme ideology that motivated the gunman in Buffalo, New York, who murdered 10 people at a grocery store this weekend. But just to be clear, and I've seen people talk about great replacement, there's not some new theory here. It's just the same garbage that people have been spewing for literally hundreds of years, just plain dirty racism. There's nothing particularly complicated or sophisticated about it, theoretically. As reporter Nick Confessore wrote recently in the New York Times, and part of a three-part series about Tucker Carlson titled American Nationalist, Carlson, quote, has constructed what may be the most racist show in the history of cable news. And joining me now is Nick Confessore, political investigator, reporter at the New York Times, and a staff writer at the New York Times Magazine. It's good to have you here. That line there, I think, is actually key to this whole thing, and the more obedient voters. Because to me, that's actually that's the ideological tell. Right. It's not, it is, frankly, racist or supremacist in that, these are deficient. These other people, they are just worse. They're more obedient. They're dirtier, etc.
Right. The themes on the show that repeat over and over again, dirtiness, disease, they're coming for you. And the themes are very explicit in the sense that his language is very direct. The elite hates you. They want to destroy you. Our civilization is at stake. It's very pessimistic. In reality, America is incredibly good at creating Americans. It's what we do best. We've been doing it for 200 plus years.
Right.
But in this ideology, as it's always been, the most recent arrivals are the ones you can't trust, who can't be made Americans, who are dangerous, who will mess the whole thing up.
So An interesting take, right? And we'll listen to a few more seconds of it. I just can't play, infinite or indefinitely long clips of it because we can get some, copyright issues and stuff like that. But what they're saying pretty much summarized is that we've always been dealing with this issue of this racial white supremacy or racial, indifference of ambiguity or whatever it might be amongst people. And I just want to also bring in a point of contention here that the reason why I don't think that it's necessarily necessary to just completely okay, divestors, why aren't we talking about, whatever it might be, is because we have a white guy here who is, down to earth, man. This dude, he seems chill as heck. This is the first time I've ever seen him. This guy obviously is a bit more structured and maybe he's a bit more political, but this dude right here, you could definitely kick it with at the bar, have a drink with. This dude definitely hoops, and he has a pair of Kobe, Mambas or freaking Spaceman's hanging in the freaking, in his closet. That dude's cool for sure, So that's what I think there. Listen, not all white people are racist, so there's no need to necessarily be like, okay, divestors, why didn't y'all, right? It's not that common of an occurrence, but I do think that there is some things that we'll talk about, and we will get to those in a little bit. Trust me, we'll get to those. Maybe not even on this stream, but we will get to those in a little bit because I do have a few things that I will say as regards to certain aspects of, the looking at this situation from a certain perspective. I will say a few things, all right, and not now though. Before we go on, I just want to play a few more seconds to hear what the next question is of this guy, and then we're going to keep going. Thank you so much for still joining. I hope that you're enjoying this. You're getting something out of this. To some, it might be boring, but we'll kind of wrap this up into what I'm, talking about this for in a bit. So let's continue.
Right. You have the people that are the actual explicit Stormfront white nationalists who immediately recognize the rhetoric they see on Tucker's show as theirs. Inside the apocalyptic worldview, Tucker Carlson tonight, you're right, white nationalists celebrate Mr. Carlson's message and success. Does he actually believe in white nationalism? Asked R. Derek Black, former white nationalist who's disavowed the movement. It doesn't really matter, he said, because Mr. Carlson is using the same rhetoric. Having the most popular cable news hosts directly pulling from their talking points make them feel like, wow, we must be right.
What's so ironic and tragic.
So what he's pretty much saying is that the white nationalists do recognize certain messages in Fox News' message with Tucker Carlson and the other different news hosts that they have who are, obviously super far right-leaning conservative type messages, which preach, being proud of your own race. It preaches about, being proud to be an American, being proud to be a nationalist, and why being a nationalist shouldn't be a bad thing necessarily. And it's interesting because those same beliefs or trains of thoughts are also followed by the people who are very, 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 racist people as well. It's this weird blurred lines that I think only happens within American societies or within America, so as that the people that do essentially make up, quote unquote, the blood, the soil and dirt of this country, if you do try to actually get into a certain extent good with the people and prove to yourself to be an American as well, there are certain Americans that don't ever and will not ever see you as an American, and that's just simply a fact of the situation. And so it's interesting because you can try and acclimate all you want, but certain people, and I'm not sure the prevalence of it, but certain people out there simply do not want to see you acclimate, and they won't ever see you as an American, period. They will simply see you as a foreigner who is invading and just not them, right? And that breaks down to simply identity and, for the most part, community-minded construct, right? We are community-minded, hive-minded people, right? And so I do understand, and I can see on a very basic psychologically thinking level how it would be hard or more difficult for somebody who's been raised in a certain time period or raised under a certain belief or raised under a certain mindset to try and live outside of the colors, no pun intended, of their typical, spectrum. But at this point, obviously in 2022, that's no excuse. I'm just saying that as a 31-year-old, somewhat intelligent person, I try and reason with that to a certain extent. This situation, there is no reasoning. So going back to this, I just wanted to really point out the difference of opinion, but show you that as far as the divesting goes and needing to hold women accountable for not talking about this, there's no reason to do that per se, because we're not dealing with this issue of mass shooting from white people to black communities that much, right? We have a lot more mass shootings within our own community. Having said that, let's go ahead and move on to a few other different concepts. I'm going to read a few of your comments in a second. I don't know if anybody's been super chatting, but if you have been super chatting, my apologies. Horrific situation. We have a few more things from the manifesto here, right? A few more things from the manifesto. Apparently, like we read earlier, the FBI had heard something about this to some extent. Not sure if that was true or not sure if that's been validated. This is a second page from the manifesto that we have here. This is another drawing, a lot more, I don't know, not complicated, but a lot more detailed than the one that he did on Microsoft Paint. Spot crime Buffalo, lots of crime on Broadway. I tried going back to sleep yesterday, but it didn't work. Here's my notes from yesterday. So it seems like he was watching or staking out the facility, staking out the grocery store. You can see on the notes right here, it says baker in the back. I don't know if that's bakery. I think that means bakery, customer service at the desk. Then it says 2 security, 2 pistols, and then he has these named or identified right here to the left-hand side. I think that's pharmacy. A little bit tough reading that, and I'm not sure what these are at the top right here. But then he has all the aisles, and I believe that the aisles are actually numbered correctly by the amount of aisles that are in the grocery store themselves. He took the time to count each of the aisles, each of the registers. I believe, because just looking at the drawing of the schematics of the diagram, that's what it's looking like. If you look at the bottom left-hand side right here, it says New York State Public something, a phone number there. But once again, that is something that's not from the manifesto itself, but just another piece of the pie from the online evidence that the FBI is now going to be looking at for this shooter as well. Now, once again, we don't have any particular cases or ties per se to the manosphere outright, but you have to, once again, listen to what we said earlier in the stream, and I'll go ahead and bring that back up for you, which is that this was a response to some of the other things that happened a few years prior, or what was it, like a year or two prior, or what was it, last year? And this is it right here, that the shooter had the name of the victims that this man had killed in the Waukesha Christmas Parade massacre on the end of his rifle. On the end of his rifle, he had the names of some of those victims. And then he had on the rifle itself also people who were prominent killers or mass murderers in society. And then I believe on the very end of his rifle, he had the N-word, which was on the sight, right under the iron sight reticle. So when you aim, that's something that would be right in the vision. Once again, that entire thing was actually live streamed, ladies and gentlemen. That entire situation was live streamed. I don't know where it was live streamed, but as horrific as that might have been, I think the live stream was streamed on Facebook and Twitter. I think Facebook, Twitter took it down, but I heard Twitter didn't take it down. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on, why they didn't take it down. Twitter's pretty Twitter really doesn't care, I guess, to really be honest with you. Look, 67 people watching right now. We have 28 likes. Listen, we need to get 40. We need to get 40 likes. We need 40 likes. Make sure you like the video if you're enjoying this content. Make sure you like the video if you're enjoying this content. Let's go ahead and get some contributions if we can. If not, we're going to go ahead and cut the stream a little early. We need to get a couple contributions if we can. You see the Cash App right there, the Cash App Truth Seekers. I appreciate all of us for being on. We've been on for almost an hour right now. We have no contributors. We have no donations to the channel. So if we don't have much support, if y'all don't really want to hear this message, then we'll end the stream. If we don't like this message, and we can end the stream. So y'all just let me know. We could definitely end the stream. And I'll read some of y'all's comments before we end the stream really quickly too. Hold on one second. Update. Yo, I'm not okay, I don't even know if I can look at this because I have to update. Y'all might have been donating them. I'm just trash. Oh man, I can't even look at it, dude. Oh, this is crazy. Okay, let me see if I can check my email. And I'll read some of y'all's comments. Y'all be like, nigga, we've been donating. What the heck? Oh jeez. All right, let me sign into my other email here. This is trash. Okie dokie. How's everybody's night going? I hope y'all's night's going good. No, I haven't seen any emails. Not that I've seen. I haven't seen any emails. I have not seen any emails. I'm going to try and update while I'm reading comments. I'm a professional streamer now, so I can do this. Here we go. Exit. All right. Let us see. Oh, I forgot. I got my dang. Hold on. Okay. Thank you, Mev's blog. She said I would donate. You have a great show, Truth. I don't know if people are already donating. I think they might be, to be honest, because I heard something go off. So if you did donate, thank you. Hello, Hey says that white guy in the glasses are longtime friends of Deus and Mero. Really? I think it's Jesus and Mero. But yeah, okay. The white guy in the glasses. Deus and Mero are YouTube guys who got to deal with HBO now. Remember a few years ago when white males did a tiki torch parade shouting the JWs, will not replace us. Same issue, different demographics. Yeah, I don't know what the JWs did for people to hate them so much, yo. People hate the JWs. People hate the JWs. I'm like, golly, that's crazy. He will do it again. He got away with killing those poor black victims. Who is it? You are ahead of the curve. Hey, on this truth. Oh, let's see. I am scared and I don't want it to happen. He'll probably be free to do again. It's an agenda to over-victimize a certain group of people, cause a ritual bloodbath, says Sarah Price. Okay. Golden Pisces says Tucker's show is an undercover Klan meeting. So y'all, okay. Lord Spike Protein says Fox News is a rhino news outlet. Okay. Joe Jet said them cheeks going to get the death penalty. Okay. Golden Pisces says there is no death penalty in NY. Clovertac made it. Clovertac made it, ladies and gentlemen. Clovertac made it. It's good to see Clovertac in the building. Sarah Price says seems like MK programming, and that's what I was saying, y'all. That's what I was saying. Like, this entire thing. Oh, my battery's running low. My laptop's not even plugged in. Hang on. Oh, hang on. All right, sorry. Let's make sure we're still live. Are we still live? I think we're still live. That's why I asked if y'all think that it's actually some kind of like, you know, it's just, it is odd, man. It is odd. Like I said, that manifesto was like so perfectly written. It was like a poetry. It was like Shakespeare wrote the manifesto. I was like, an 18-year-old wrote this. But it said that he copied everything, though. It said he copied and pasted all of that, though, right? So I don't think he actually wrote that. But once again, they're trying to prove the point that online is so, is so crazy. Okay, y'all talking about abortion and everything right here. Let me see. The gender war was an agenda. Now it's real. This will be really bad, too. Okay, so Sarah Price is convinced this is an agenda and that they are trying to push the race war. Okay, that was the poll we had. We'll try to ask another question here. We'll try and ask another question. Hey, listen, I'm a little tired. Only 19 likes. There are a few more than 19 likes. But make sure we get the likes up. Twitch, not Twitter. Phil Brad. Oh, he streamed it on Twitch, Phil? Wow. He streamed it on Twitch. Okay. Not all black people appreciate other black people. I love us, but I'm not sugarcoating anymore. I think that's a very good point. We got done talking about that as well. I mean, it's hard to really point out, and that's why I want to make sure that we are staying very fair and really balanced and making sure that we do. And I'm just trying to get a pulse for how y'all feel, to be completely honest with you. So here's the next question. Next poll right now. Next question. Here we go. Do you think that Tucker Carlson is racist? Do you think that Tucker Carlson is racist? That's the poll there. You can give it a yes or a no. And the next question after that, we'll have after that. I want to see what you think. Do you watch Fox News? Do you think? Listen, a lot of black people are conservative. A lot of black people do watch Fox News. You know what I mean? I think the question is this: Do you find being proud of your race a problem? Right? And let's be honest for a second. All right. We have kind of this entire thing as black people in America, which is being proud to be black, right? We do. We have this entire thing where it's proud to be black. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Say it loud, right? I'm black and I'm proud. Now, we did that and there was a need for that because there were some severe injustices way back when, for sure, right? And I think that was some sort of way to morality boost, and that was the Black Panthers chants and things like that, and yada, yada, yada. So I understand that. And so there was a need to be proud of oneself. And I think being proud of oneself as far as having a cultural identity definitely creates more, upward bound or upwardly mobile people, because you have something to live for now. You have a past, you have an identity, you have people behind you that are like, yo, this is what you are, this is who we are, and we have something to live for, and we're trying to strive to be something, right? That's the same pride that makes other races really viable together, right? When they might come to America, when they might come to certain countries and make a lot of money, and they might do this and they might do that, and they might, they go back to rebuild, or they send money back home, or whatever it might be. that sense of pride or kindredship of community and country is when you do see that in really, really, really successful countries, what makes that country successful, right? And that is everybody that's there is a part of a unified community. I think right now that's one of the biggest issues with, obviously our country is that it's not a 100% unified community, and that's not possible or even feasible at this point, right? Because now the bigger question is, well, what is a unified community? Not everybody wants to be a part of the unified community, and I can tell you that things like this and then things like this make that want a lot less to unify the community, right? Where you have this type of situation, which might have actually been a response from this type of situation, right? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to double you. That growth or that need to separate, a lot of people, they start to feel that, right? So this is a very interesting thing. I think that right now the reason why some white people or why some people, in my opinion, might feel that separation starting to happen where it might not have happened before is because the narrative that I think is being attacked in that case is what MSN was saying. And so I'm going to look at the question or the answer from the poll that we just did really quickly. Let's look at the poll really quickly. It's only 15 responses, but out of the 15 responses, 73% say Tucker Carlson is racist. 73% say Tucker Carlson is racist. And so I want to ask a question again. We got another response right there, and that said that it was another. That kicked it to 75%. The next question is this. Is being proud of your race racist? That's the next question. Is being proud of your race racist? All right. Now, obviously, this is somewhat of a gaslighting question, but I'll explain why, and I'm going to explain why I'm asking right now. Obviously, a lot of y'all are going to answer no. It's not necessarily racist to be proud of your race. It's not racist to be proud of your race, right? Of course, that's pride, to have pride in your race, right? It's pride. It's not racist to be proud, right? I think that a lot of people would argue, and a lot of people, so we have 7 votes, and it's 100% no. I appreciate that. We'll end that poll right there. And one person said yes. Whoever said yes, you're hilarious. I still haven't even uploaded or updated Cash App yet because I haven't seen anybody donate it. But a lot of people would argue that that's what Tucker Carlson's actually doing, right? That he's not being racist. He's just preaching that it's not bad to be white, right? And that might be even, could that be lent to the extent of saying, hey, there are less white people here. There are less white people being born. I think the gray area is very interestingly gray in this particular matter, right? It's very interestingly gray. Whereas, obviously a lot of us still today say, hey, I'm happy I'm black. I'm happy I'm this. I'm this about being black, right? A white person, I guess, can say that for sure, but they're probably gonna face some stuff if they're in public saying, "Man, I'm happy I'm white." I'm happy with this. Yeah, it'll be acceptable depending, I think, on where you're at in the conversation that you're having, and maybe if you're in a certain college campus or just in a place where people are a lot more less to be angry. So college vibe type, small community college conversations where you can have these, kumbaya conversations where you're Indian feet and everybody's kind of just zenning out and stuff like that. And you'd be like, well, I'm actually really happy to be white. I wouldn't want to be, I don't know where you'd ever have that conversation, but most other places outside of those really tight-knit, really small, open-minded, woke type of communities aren't going to take as kindly to saying, or to that message being as publicized of, white lives matter, right? As a matter of fact, a lot of people are very bothered by the saying of white lives matter, right? Lord Spike Protein said it's not a race war, it's a spiritual one. Well, Lord Spike Protein, I would agree with you that there's definitely a lot of things that go on, right? Definitely a lot of things that go on that we don't understand, that we don't see, right? Joe Jet says this. Let me bring up my little StreamYards thing. Yo, I'm going to trust that y'all donating. I'm not going to lie. I'm just going to trust y'all because I can't even see it, man. Joe Jet said people are proud of their race and culture, but that doesn't involve genocide or mass shooting. I completely agree with you. 100% completely agree with you. But you have to understand, though, Joe Jet. You have to understand, Joe Jet. Right now we're trying to differentiate This is Joe Jett's comment. We're trying to differentiate whether or not saying something online is racist or as well, or does saying something online contribute to that genocide or mass shooting as well? Because you gotta understand the media is trying to tie online sayings and online doctrines. Well, at least they're trying to tie it to this case, right? Tucker Carlson's online sayings that the white race is in problems and stuff like that, right? To this guy who's been, as his manifesto suggested, this guy right here, he said that he didn't have any radical thoughts or teachings. Check it out. I looked up this cat's parents, his mom and his dad. They're both civil engineers, I want to say. Pretty, just normal people, right? Normal people, normal brother and sister. They're horrified that this happened, right? They seem like good people. I mean, so this guy, once again, in his 180-page manifesto said that he got his radicalism from online teachings. I mean, it was like a journal almost in the manifesto, and I think it was, I forget where exactly it was, but we looked at all the pictures and stuff like that, and we looked at a few different things. So rewind it if you want to see more of those pictures or find more information on his beliefs or what ended up causing him to convert or change to become the person that he is now, because he was raised extremely conservative in a well high earning, mid to high earning household, high mid earning household, however you want to say it, with good people in a good community, right? So something caused the switch to flip. Now, we've always had shooters, once again, ladies and gentlemen, in society. We've always had violence in society. That's not necessarily as big of an issue, but gun violence is always going to take precedence. And then when you have mass shootings that could be based around race or supercharged around racial topics, then, well, gosh dang it, that's just going to gaslight it to the next level until where you see something of the issue right now. Now we're tying politics into this type of issue. We're tying all kinds of different media ideologies into this type of issue, because media, for the most part nowadays, is politics. Oh, look. Okay, cool. I just got a Cash App. I appreciate the Cash App from the anonymous donator right there. And I see you right there. I appreciate that from the anonymous donator. And I'm just going to say, I appreciate you, man. All right. And then that should get you good enough right there. You should understand who I'm talking to. I appreciate that from the anonymous donation right there, supporting the channel. We're going to keep this thing rolling. Hey, as long as we get donations, we keep this thing rolling, all right? So that's the interesting concept right there. At what point do we start to differentiate between, once again, ladies and gentlemen, what's just said online being online and then the offline reality actually happening based off of an online teaching? That's the entire issue that we're having with these content creators. People are going and they're living their lives that really offline shouldn't have necessarily been as conducive to finding or getting themselves involved with these subgroups of people. But the online world can be very powerful for certain groups and for certain minds, right? For certain people, they don't have the ability to differentiate fictitious worlds from reality, right? And depending on what happens in their own lives, right? Obviously, this guy had a pretty good life from what we know, but depending on what happens in their own lives, it could cause some type of issue in the future. And I think the government right now is trying to get a hold of it, which once again is why we saw this article a long time ago, or the first article that we saw, which is that this guy determined, Ian Bremmer, that there needs to be some more regulations, right? There needs to be some more regulations. Ian Bremmer says U.S. must address extremism, polarization online. That was 8 hours ago by CBS News. Who is Ian Bremmer? I'm not even too sure who Ian Bremmer is. Once again, he's an author and political scientist. He has written a new book on world threats, said the attack shows how the country has neglected what he called the most dangerous crisis right now, the inability to understand and contain disruptive technologies such as AI, cyber attacks, online disinformation, drones, and even quantum computing. Let's listen to him for a second, give it a little bit of an excerpt.
You narrowed it down to 3 crises, but it seems like there's a new one every day. And the one we're dealing with right now in Buffalo is white supremacy, which you say is a bigger threat than radical Islam in this country. Why? And by the way, our government agrees.
Our government agrees.
Why is it?
The public doesn't agree with that, though. They still see it differently.
Some in the public don't agree.
Yeah.
I mean, why is it so hard, first of all, to get agreement on that question and also to stop it?
Why it's so hard is because it doesn't seem to be a really urgent problem for the average American, because most of the people it's hitting are seriously disenfranchised. I mean, it sort of reminds me of crack cocaine as a crisis back in the 80s and 90s. I mean, we all knew it was a big deal, but it was inner city, and did the people that were in power really care? Was the response going to be performative? It's performative. The global hunger crisis right now is another one of those. It feels to me like climate did 20, 30 years ago before it started hitting everyone. Right. Remember, I mean, we all knew the science on climate, but we weren't going to do anything about it until it started hitting California and Italy and Australia. And now we are responding. We truly are. The part of the book is about when the crisis gets big enough, your capacity to make a real difference. And even when the U.S. is still dysfunctional, even when the U.S.-China relationship isn't so good, you actually see that traction. And it's playing out right now.
But I like how you...
Okay, so it was kind of a word salad right there. Once again, another legalese word salad. Pretty much what he's saying right there is that he's been able to identify, he's trying to identify in his books and his teachings, a way for the U.S. to identify looming crises, impending crises, and to alert the people and to try and find a solution or response before the crisis takes over. So he's been able to identify, from my synopsis of watching or listening to that jumbo salad just now, he's been able to identify the future crises, which the article went on to state, just as we got done reading a second ago, that the most dangerous crises, according to him, are AI, cyber attacks, online disinformation, drones, and even quantum computing. So I think at this point he's on a mission now to let everybody know that the new crises need to be addressed. And once again, going back to that article at the very top, the title is Ian Bremmer says that we need to address the polarization online. Big articles there, ladies and gentlemen. Big news. Big news. That's now on a mainstream level. The manosphere has gone mainstream. The online radicalism has gone mainstream. It's a different day and age now. The sites still are up, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at a couple more pictures. I still had more. Dang it. Okay, let's see. I still have more questions. We're going to skip those for a second, though. Let me show you this real quick, all right? Let me just show you this really quickly, okay? And I'm going to speak very openly and honestly about what I think is going on here in a second. Yeah, I'm not going to show that right now. Let's see. Yeah, look at y'all's. Let me look at some of y'all's comments, actually. I haven't looked at any comments in a while. F11. All right, let's look at some comments here. I believe you a racist, the clue in the name. Okay, cool cat. Cool cat with the word. Sugar Bum says, I love my people. I don't care what anyone says. Look at Sugar Bum. That's awesome. I think that's good. I think it's good. I think it's good to love all. It's good to love good people because, listen, not all of your people love you back. You know what I mean, Sugar Bum? So even that, and that's why I kind of want to really make sure that we start to differentiate online media from offline reality, right? And trust me, I get racism. I'm in Texas. I've seen a little bit, but so right, I've had a lot of threats from people that look just like me too, right? So the media is really sensationalized, and trust me, this is something that needs to be sensationalized because this story is horrific. Like this story definitely needs international coverage, right? Like 70 and 80-year-old women are getting shot. So this story definitely needs coverage, right? But it also plays right into a severe political agenda, right? A severe political agenda. An agenda that isn't necessarily as solution-based to the actual problem that they purport to be the main problem, right? What does that mean? To me, in my opinion, taking away people's rights and ability to protect themselves is not a solution to the problem of mass shootings. That doesn't make any sense to me, right? It doesn't matter if it's and it does matter obviously because it's horrific. Definitely, if it's a knife or a gun, it for sure will matter, right? For sure. Especially if a security guard had a gun in that case, right? For sure. But by and large, as self-defense ranges on a large spectrum, right? More people have had the opportunity to protect themselves legally with a firearm than have lost their lives with a firearm. This is a complete guess, but this is what I think because we don't hear about the stories of people that did pull out their firearms to save their lives. No, I'm not talking about the specific incidents because obviously this guy had body armor, ARs, right? I'm just talking about something as far as political ideologies of what I think, okay? So we're not talking about the shooting or anything right now. That's a different situation altogether. I'm just talking about instances where if a guy didn't have body armor, but he had an AK or an AR, are you in a state where politically you don't have the ability to carry a weapon on you because you're in a borough that believes in the citizens not having weapons and only the police having weapons? Well, guess what? The police officer in the New York shooting was the first one to die. or like the second or third one to die. I think one person in the parking lot was the first one to die. And he already knew where the police officers was, right? Where the security agent was. That guy was gone, right? So I want to really be really clear with what I'm saying and how I'm presenting the situation, because I want to really start to get into the political realm and sphere of things, and I understand. Listen, if we could just wave the magic wand and get rid of all guns, I would do that 100%. I'd have no problem doing that. If we could get rid of everything, I would, but that's not a feasible reality, and that's not a feasible option. And the gun control is not the only thing that I don't agree with as far as the democratic type or style of belief. There's a lot of other things that I don't agree with as well, right? There's a lot of other things I don't agree with as well, right? And those same things you probably don't agree with either. Right? But the only other option, it seems, as black people is that if you don't agree with the democratic side of belief, then you must be a coon-loving racist, because that means you agree with Tucker Carlson. And most of y'all said in the poll that we just had a few minutes ago that you believe that Tucker Carlson is racist. So it's an interesting dilemma, right, to be a black conservative per se, because to a certain extent, the way that the media is really spinning and the way that things can kind of be laid out and the way that the facts almost lay themselves out, it would seem that you are aligning yourself more with racism than you are with actually just trying to align yourself with the conservative American type of value, which is what would make you assimilate to or be an American, right? Which is what most of the people in America or most of the nationalists would quote unquote want, and then some of them might not want that for you to assimilate. They just want you to leave. They want you to Africanate, right? But it's an interesting question because now it suggests that when in Rome, doing as the Romans do would suggest that you're a traitor to some extent. I mean, what do y'all think about that? These are just my observations on where I see the entire little political thing going. And I know that people don't want to watch this right now, right? So definitely less political shows. But this is just my political observation on this. My political observation. Okay, let me see. Now, once again, I could. Okay, we'll probably just go ahead and wrap this up because I know it's too political. People don't like political. People don't like too preachy. So look, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. It's been an hour and 15 minutes, so that's definitely good for this live. Listen, I hope that y'all enjoyed this live, man. Definitely have some more to say about this. We're gonna talk a little bit more about the divesting and kind of expand on this entire topic, and we'll try and keep the political shows to the daytime. I think that the daytime will be a lot better for it for sure. But first of all, rest in peace to all the families that were involved in this horrific tragedy, man. And I think that it's going to be interesting as this case kind of unfolds to see more of the investigation that's revealed by the FBI's probing into this guy's background to try and figure out maybe if he was actually tied into any type of Manifesto groups. I don't know. That is a bit of a stretch. But once again, we saw a few tidbits that might have suggested that it is a possibility. So I don't know. Take that for what you will. But I just want to thank the supporter that we had tonight. Thank you for your donation. And if somebody else did donate, thank you for the donation as well. I'm not sure. I appreciate you for watching tonight. Make sure on your way out that you like the video. Joe Jet said I'll start a trip back to Africa, GoFundMe, and see if any racists help a brother out. Okay, Joe Jet's going back to Africa, so he said he's going to start a GoFundMe, and if there are any racists that want to help Joe Jet go back to Africa, then make sure that you donate to his GoFundMe. We'll get Joe Jet's GoFundMe. If you're serious about it, Joe Jet, then let us know. Well, listen, man, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all so much. We'll be back tomorrow for sure. We got some chopping down of these videos that I'm going to do and then re-uploading them, but I'm going to try and have another... Lord Spike Protein said I would donate, but please don't mention me. I won't mention you, Lord Spike Protein. I think that was you already, though. You said anonymous. So, yeah, I've noticed that, a lot of people don't want to be mentioned. So, yeah, if you donate, and for the replay people watching too, if you donate and you don't want me to mention you, then, just say anonymous in the Cash App so I won't mention you. I didn't think about that before, but I'll add that to the stream next time for sure. Lord Spike Protein said, Joe Jet, good luck with that. Hello, hey, we're signing out. So good to see you in the chat. Hello, hey, we're signing out, y'all. Anyways, guys, ladies and gentlemen, First Amendment and Second Amendment protection. Remember, you have the freedom of speech. Can't say everything. And remember, you can protect yourself from anything, though. And depending on what state you are in, you might be able to use everything. You might be able to use nothing. But get you something, right? Get you something is the bigger concept to take away from that. Once again, likes on the way out. TheHonestTruthYT@gmail.com. We will be back tomorrow. We have highlights coming up tomorrow. If you don't like the highlights, then give them a thumbs up. Just click the video, give them a thumbs up, and then just leave anyways. All right. I appreciate if you did that. And then also, I was going to say, thank you to the channel members once again. And thank you to the channel mods, Organic Black, Diana Prince, always on top of it, always the best. I'll see you soon, ladies and gentlemen. Take care. Truth out. Good night. Stay safe. All right.